Hello there, welcome back to the channel. So recently I joined a 48-hour game jam. This is the micro jam number 15, and the theme of it was Ghosts with a prerequisite of Death is Not the End. I kind of forgot that I joined the jam, so I started off with only 10 hours left. So with the theme of ghosts, of course I gotta make the player a ghost. It just seems like the easiest way to quickly implement it. I'm thinking of a very simple bullet hell type of game with the player shooting at a bunch of enemies. The player is now done, and so is the movement. I added some rocks and plants to the environment with a little bit of random generation. I made the first enemy, which is also a ghost. It shoots projectiles when it gets close enough to the player, and the player can shoot bullets as well. I made a little grave for the player. It's kinda just a decoration right now. I added some power-ups that the player can now pick up to increase their stats. They randomly spawn across the map. I made waves of enemies that increase in HP and speed the further the player gets. More enemies get spawned as well. Now, I still haven't implemented the prerequisite Death is Not the End. I thought of adding a revive functionality when the player dies, and to do so the player has to input a line of arrow keys, kinda like Helldivers. I think it'd be pretty fun to do so, and then the player can infinitely revive as long as their grave is intact. It feels kinda boring to have the grave just sit there while the player runs around everywhere collecting power-ups. It just doesn't seem like a fun thing to do. I could make some enemies that target the grave specifically, and the player will have to block the bullets with their body, but that kinda confines the player to being near the grave, and it just doesn't seem fun. And the solution I thought of was just tying the grave to the player, and it's just getting dragged along. The grave has its own HP and can be destroyed. The player won't die when the grave is destroyed, but they just can't revive anymore. Now, by this time, I had around an hour left, and I still had to code the actual reviving mechanic, and a little more enemy variety. The reviving was not too hard to add. The arrows on the screen are actually sprites just like the player, instead of the UI due to some technical difficulties. There's a time limit to press the arrow keys to revive, and the more times you successfully revive, the lower the time limit gets. It stops at 3 seconds, so technically you could revive infinitely if you are fast enough, and the mechanic is honestly pretty satisfying to do. I added 2 more enemies, a large skull, and what was supposed to be a zombie. I guess it's just a slime now. The skull has more HP and is faster. The zombie has more HP and shoots bullets that target the grave. Now, by the time I was done with all of this, I may have perhaps gone past the 6 o'clock deadline for the game jam. You know, there's a possibility that happened, but the jam did allow late submissions as long as it's submitted in the 48-hour voting period afterwards. Now, I didn't get to playtest too much of it, so the game could be a little unbalanced. And the results, it got 40th out of 87 entries. I mean, not bad, I guess. But yeah, if you want to try it out, it's in the link in the description. And thanks for watching. Like and subscribe so I can feed my 3 million starving kids.